what the labels were, but we can leave those with Jesus. I don't know what the stories were, but we can find redemption in Jesus. I don't know what the old purpose was, but we will find new purpose because your God, our God, has not stopped seeing you and has not stopped knowing you and has not stopped loving you and has not stopped calling you by name.
Everyone. Good morning, good morning. My name is Jedi. I'm one of the pastors here at Timberlake. If we haven't met before, I oversee groups here. I'm also involved with Timberlake Worship. Really glad to be here, excited to be here. A lot of people have been asking me all morning long if my name really is Jedi. It's actually Jedediah. And the reason why I go by Jedi now is because I found that here at Timberlake, people were like, Jedediah has too many syllables. So they started calling me Jed. And Jed is like something that I'm not vibing with, you know? I feel like it's got to be like an overhaul straw hat kind of a thing, and that's just really not who I am. And so call me Jedi, don't call me Jed. And if you're like, I'm going to call you Jed, like we're in church, don't do that. A special shout out to everyone joining us online and at our campuses today. I'm so glad that you're here, that technology connects us, and I hope that you're having an awesome morning so far. I'm so grateful for you. A quick little bit more about me. June is a special month for me. Like I just had my birthday on Friday and I turned 40. Yes, thank you. People have been asking, like, what's it like to turn 40? And I'm like, well, people still think I look 22, so it's not that bad. Actually, it's been pretty good. But for reals though, it's had me like kind of reflect a lot on life. Like the average male expectancy for life is like 77 or something. And so when I started thinking like, wow, I've lived 40 years, like, but I almost like, there's less time. It just kind of makes me be like, I should pay attention to the important things. It happened like overnight. And so one of those things is obviously like people have been super encouraging with saying happy birthday and doing this kind of stuff, and that means a lot to me, so thanks for that. Another really important thing to me is my family, and so here's a picture of my wife and kids. That's my wife, Sarah. She's beautiful, she's awesome. We are celebrating 16 years in about 2 weeks, which is another crazy thing. Yeah. Some of you are like, she looks 22, so did you marry her when she was 6? No, I did not. Gotta clarify that. She's awesome. We have 2 kids. We have Elise, we have Annette. And Elise is 6, Annette is 3. Elise is like, we listen to K-pop in our family because I'm Korean and Filipino. So she loves to dance and sing, and she's like doing all the motions and stuff. And Annette, like, she's spunky and fearless. And if you ever meet her in the lobby and you talk with her, she's kind of talks like a minion, like that's a real thing. And if you just kind of listen to her for a little bit, you'll understand what she's saying. And she's probably most likely saying, give me a snack. So if you want a snack and you want to give it to her, please, by all means, do so. I love my family. They really are like such an important part of my life. And I'm so grateful for my wife and for my kids. It's such a joy to be their dad and to be Sarah's husband. She's like over there. So I love you. Little Korean heart. Last week, Pastor Ben launched a new sermon series called Whac-A-Mole, where we're naming like various issues that keep showing up in our life. It's kind of like the arcade game where you have a hammer and you like knock down these moles. And he talked about what to do about disappointments and how we navigate that. And basically, he said that we end up gaining kind of a spiritual resilience through these situations. So if you haven't heard it yet, go listen to that. As I was preparing for this week, something that happened to me recently came to mind, and it has to do with like a package that I was trying to deliver through the mail. And so there's a company called 64 Audio, and I'm having these custom in-ear monitors made. So when I play on the band or we're on stage, we have these things in our ears, and they have technology now where you can get them custom made, okay? And so these are my beautiful custom in-ear monitors, and the company needed me to send them something. So I got all my stuff, and I live in Sammamish, so I headed to the local mail post. Any mail post fans in here? Yeah? Oh, awesome. Yeah, I love mail post. And the reason why is that they're always nice and they help you get your package ready and stuff. And I've come to know Sharon, one of the owners at the location I think that I'm at. So she's amazing. They're awesome. And so we got our box prepped. We put everything in and we ended up sending off to the mail to Vancouver, Washington. Okay? Well, the package should have gotten there in a few days. And a week passes by and I hear nothing. And so I decided to track it online. And I can tell something's kind of off, because it got from Sammamish to Redmond, but it's like sitting there at Redmond. So I go to the mail post and talk with Sharon. She's like, well, go to the Redmond post office. So I go there and they're like, oh yeah, like, don't worry. Like there's an update that I see on my end and I'm sure it'll show up soon. So I'm like, okay, great. End up going home. Another week passes, nothing, right? Another week passes, nothing. Eventually 2 months pass from when I first shipped the package and there's nothing. And I realized, wow, we have a problem. And so I decided to go online, and it's still the same. It's sitting in Redmond. So I go to the mail post, and they're like, well, go talk to Redmond Post Office. So I go to the Redmond Post Office, wait there for about an hour. And what they say is, your package isn't here. And I say, well, it says right here that it's here, but it's not here. So what I need you to do, sir, is call this phone number. Call a phone number? Yeah. You can't help me right now? No, call this phone number. So I call this phone number, wait about an hour, and I'm like, where's my package? And she's like, well, I can see it's in Redmond. And I was like, I just got back from Redmond. It's not in Redmond. Well, it's there, sir, but it's not. They told me to call you. Well, sir, I'm going to need you to fill out an online form. An online, like you can't tell me where my package is? No, sir, I need you to fill out an online form for a missing package request. And by this point, I'm frustrated, right? I really want these custom in-ear monitors. I'm super excited. I don't even know what's happening. But I decided it's like a last-ditch attempt, like, let me just try. And so I go online, and I fill out this request. And what I've discovered is that within the USPS, there's like a secret task force, okay? Like a SWAT team that gets activated or something when there's like missing packages. Like I swear they're like better than the CIA. Because this team found my package in less than 24 hours. And they called me and they were like, sir, we found your package. And I was like, oh great, where is it? And they're like, well, it's in Redmond. Yeah, but see, it's not in Redmond though. It's not there. Well, yeah, sir, it's not quite in Redmond. Okay, so what happened? So they're like, sir, this is what happened. Your package went from Sammamish to Redmond. And it sat in Redmond for a little bit. And then it went from Redmond to Georgia. And then from Georgia back to Redmond. And then from Redmond back to Georgia, where it sat to Georgia for a little bit, but now it's back at Redmond. Okay, why? Like Georgia's not on the way to Vancouver, Washington? What happened? Well, sir, we don't really quite understand, but what we know is that at Redmond, so, okay, it's there? No, well, yes and no, depending on what you mean by there. A delivery agent has it, sir. A delivery agent? What do you mean a delivery agent has it? Yes, a delivery agent has your package. Okay, well, can you tell me who this person is? Can we contact them? No, sir, we have no clue. How is that possible? Yes, sir, I'm really sorry, but we know that a delivery agent has your package, and that individual has had it for the last month. So I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks, appreciate it, no worries, thank you, whatever. Now, I don't know if you think about this, but I was thinking, like, why would that delivery agent want my package, right? Maybe you're out here and you're like, maybe there was something really valuable in there, something really precious, something really important. Do you know what was in that box? Okay, it's this, okay? Brace yourself. This is in the box. Do you know what this is? These are impressions of my ears, okay? I went to an audiologist and got my ears filled with this stuff and had to wait while I was drooling all over myself. And they pulled them out and they're like, these are the shape of your ears. Someone has my impressions in their living room on a mantle. Maybe they're like, these are cute. They'll make great Christmas ornaments. Maybe they're giving it to their children because they're kind of soft and they're putting their mouth and stuff. I don't know. Ew, right? Gross. Maybe they're putting their own ears. I'm not sure, but some creepos out there enjoying my impressions. If you're out there, we love you. Timberlake's a safe place, okay? And just give me my impressions back. Okay, now, I decided to go back to MailPost to talk to Sharon about this story. You can remove these. People are about to vomit. They're gross. And as I was talking to Sharon, she was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Can you imagine if your box could talk, the story that it would have? And I thought, wow, it would have such a tale. It'd be like, I kind of like did my thing, I got ready, I started on my way, and then I ended up here, and I was like, oh, I'm going to Vancouver. But then I went to Georgia and had some fried chicken and waffles and sweet tea, and they sent me back to Redmond and back to Georgia, and then all of a sudden, some dude took me, and I'm stuck. Like my box is stuck. I can't get it. I don't know where it is. It's literally stuck. Now, when we talk about a box being stuck, it's pretty funny, right? And sometimes when we talk about people being stuck, it's funny too. Like, I don't know why this happens, but there are moments when I play at playgrounds where parents try to do things they shouldn't do. Like, look at these pictures of dads trying to play at a playground. This dude is stuck, okay? Why did you do this? I don't know. This guy's stuck. needing friends to have assistance, and this guy, I mean, come on. Stuck. Literally stuck. And it's funny. It's funny when we talk about a box. It's funny when we talk about dads who are trying to play on the playground. But you know, when we are stuck in life, when you and I get stuck, it's actually not that funny. It's not fun at all. Like for some of us, maybe we find ourselves stuck in kind of a relationship situation or a situationship, as the young kids call it these days. Right? Maybe you're stuck in your marriage or in your parenting, or maybe you're like, I don't have a relationship. And I've been trying, but like everyone on Hinge is horrible. They're into ear impressions and stuff, and that's not my vibe. And you can kind of get stuck. In marriage, you can be stuck in cycles of conflict, or if you're single, you can get stuck in cycles of longing, and you just feel like you're not going anywhere. Or maybe you feel stuck in your job. Like you joined a team at a company, you loved it, it was great. Some people came, some people left, and now it's like kind of stale. It's not really connected to what you're passionate about. And it's turning out that, you're not really in line for that promotion that you thought was going to happen. Or maybe you've been unemployed and you've been trying to find a job, and people keep saying it's like an amazing market and there's so many jobs out there, but you keep applying over and over again and nothing happens. You're just kind of stuck. Or maybe you're stuck in your health, physical, mental, or emotional. We all face challenges in those areas where we get a diagnosis, something surprising, and the doctor's like, we're going to try a couple of things. You try those things, and then it works, and you're like, I have energy, and I have all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, something else happens. And the doctor says, we gotta adjust our plan. And you don't really feel like you're moving forward because you're back at square one. You feel stuck. Maybe you're stuck in your finances. The pandemic made all of your stocks and everything just go crazy, just numbers just disappearing. Or maybe, you find yourself in a lot of debt. Or, trying to be on top of this financial plan, you just can never seem to get ahead. You're living from paycheck to paycheck. Or maybe you're someone who's stuck in your faith journey. You've been coming to church for a while, you've been coming to Timberlake for a while, and you're like, I love this place, and it changed my life, it was very helpful, but now you're like, after a few years and stuff, I just nothing's really happening. I feel kind of stagnant. Or you're someone who's checking out church for the first time. I'm so glad you're here if that's you. This is an awesome place. It's a safe place, where you can explore if there is really something in all of this. Because maybe you're like, I live that life out there, and I'm kind of stuck. It just doesn't feel great. And so right now, here's what I want us to do, okay? Because we all get stuck. I want you to look at this list on the screen, and I want you to be honest with yourself. And I want you to think of one area that you feel stuck in. You could have more than one. It could be one or whatever. If you're like, I don't have any, well, then you're probably not being too honest with yourself. Like you're probably stuck in self-delusion. We could work on that. Safe place. But seriously, though, think of one area. And then I want you to keep this at the forefront of your mind as we go through the rest of the teaching and the rest of the message. Because the reality is that we all get stuck at times. And so if that's true, it naturally begs the question, well, what do we do when we get stuck? How do we become unstuck? This morning, there's a story of a man in the Bible who was literally stuck for a long time. And he has an encounter with Jesus that changes his life. And so I want to explore this story. And so let's go to the book of John. If you have your Bibles, you could turn there. You could look it up on the Bible app, or you could look on the screen with me. We're in John chapter 5, verses 1 to 9. All right, here's what it says. Sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Now there is in Jerusalem near the sheep gate a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I am trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me." Then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat and walk." At once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. Okay, so what's going on here? First, let's talk about where this account takes place. We have archaeological and historical data that says it really took place. They know where this location is. And the text tells us that there was a specific pool in Jerusalem near the sheep gate. Now, ancient cities had walls around them, and these walls had multiple gates. And the sheep gate is called the sheep gate is because where the sheep came in every day. If you lived in Jesus' time and you wanted to go to church to worship, you had to bring a sheep with you because during that time, the worship of God required animal sacrifices. And so this was a gate where sheep came through and people came through. They were on their way to temple. They were going to worship God, and these sheep were going to be sacrificed. Right? It was a very busy place, a place of activity. Now, by this gate was a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda. Not the gaming company, for some of you out there who are thinking about that. The text tells us a few things about this unique pool, okay? It's surrounded by 5 covered colonnades and was a gathering place for the sick. All right, the Bible says that they were disabled people, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. Now, in ancient biblical times, these people were basically considered the outcasts of society. And the reason why they were considered that was because the belief was that someone in their family or themselves or their aunt or uncle or grandparents had sinned and sinned greatly. And because of their sin, God punished those people with that disability. So if you had like a severe disability, like you can't walk or you can't see or you can't hear, they were like, man, your sin is bad. Like God does not like you. And some rabbis were teaching at the time that these individuals were also ceremonially unclean, which meant that they were totally cut off from all of Jewish life and society. Now, these people were gathered around this pool for a particular reason. It's because they believed that these waters had healing powers. There was a belief at the time that what would happen is that they would wait around the pool like this and they would look at the waters, and every now and then the waters would get stirred. They would get agitated, they would bubble up, or something would happen. And the belief was that when that happened, an angel had flown by and its wing had touched the waters. And in that moment, the waters became imbued with healing properties. And so the sick, these outcasts of societies, were waiting there, believing in this pool to miraculously heal them. And they didn't know when it was going to happen or how it was going to happen, but they believed that when this angel touched the waters, if they were the first ones to get in, that they would be changed. Now, this isn't like a biblical thing. Some scholars actually believe that this was connected to pagan worship. And so this is not even like a real story. It's something that's totally made up. But these people were desperate people who had nowhere else to go. And they were eventually putting their faith into something. And whenever the waters get stirred, they would get crazy with like a mad desperation and just jump in. It's a pretty heavy scene. And I don't want to minimize that. At the same time, when I think about like mad desperation, I think about the ice cream tricycle, the truck that comes by our neighborhood. And here's what I mean, okay? So my daughters, we live in Klahani in a little condo community, and there's like a group of like 8 girls, and they all play together and do stuff. And every Tuesday, there's this guy named Ben who rides like this tricycle in the summertime, and he's like bringing around ice cream, okay? And the girls are playing in the yard. They're like having fun. They're doing their thing. You know, they got bubble wands, and they got like chalk and stuff. And whenever Ben's tricycle music comes on, ding, 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 they just lose it, okay? Blah! Just throw stuff like, oh my God. Like they just like run around all over the place. They're trying to run in the street, trying to find where it's coming from. And all the parents are like, calm down, don't punch each other. We all get ice cream. We do this every single week. Ah, Ben's here. And they just like run towards him, right? It's kind of a little bit of like madness. Or do you guys remember Black Friday? Like pre-pandemic, I remember people who would go and they'd be like, I'm gonna go shop Black Friday. And they would do Black Friday and they come back and they'd have like bruises and stuff. One dude I knew, he had like a black eye. I was like, what happened? He's like, dude, I was trying to get this TV and someone punched me. I was like, did you get the TV? And they're like, no, man, they only had like 5 of them. But you know that mad desperation? You see hundreds of people lining up Target when the doors open and the employees get run over. Like, that's kind of what I think about in this scene. Now, when I think about the ice cream, here's what's funny. I have technology where I can follow Ben on my phone. I can track him. Right? So I'm like, oh, he's close to our neighborhood. He's making a little detour right now. He'll be here in about 7 minutes. But the people at this pool, they had no idea knowing when this was going to happen. They would literally just lay there, live there all day, waiting for the waters to get stirred and just desperately come in because they wanted to be healed from their situation. Now, at this pool, the Bible tells us that there was a man who was an invalid for 38 years. And the context of the passage shows us that he was paralyzed. We actually don't know much about him. We don't know his name, how long he was there, how he became that way, or whether he was born that way, how he got there, who his family was, who abandoned him, who he had to leave behind. We don't know any of that stuff. All we know is that he's just like the others, stuck, putting his hope into something that will desperately change his life, even if it's something that isn't even real. He's stuck. Now, remember that one area of your life that you chose earlier? See, we all get stuck sometimes, like I said, right? And this man, his physical health was the area that he was stuck in. But there was something more happening here. Because you see, being stuck is one thing, but feeling stuck and then living stuck is something completely else. I mean, it's one thing to talk about being stuck in our situations or being stuck in the playground, being stuck in marriage or finances. Like that's one thing. But if you're in that situation for a while, you start to feel stuck. And what happens is that we go through these emotional cycles where we experience disappointment and frustration and hurt and anger and shame. And then when we try to get ourselves out and that fails, we go through that cycle over and over and over again. More disappointment, more frustration, more hurt, anger, more shame. And if this happens enough times, you go from feeling stuck to living stuck. And to me, living stuck has to do with kind of being in a sense of hopelessness. It's having like a sense of resignation, a kind of giving up, where we start to think, maybe this isn't that bad. It's not that uncomfortable. Maybe this is what my life is supposed to be. Maybe I'm never really just supposed to get out on top. And maybe this is what God wants for me. Look, when you're living stuck, it's such a dark and heavy place. Have you ever felt this way? Or have you ever experienced this? Maybe honestly right now, as you think about the area that you chose, are you feeling stuck? Or even more, have you been living stuck for a while? There's no life in that place. And this quote by Anne Lamott, a Christian author, I think captures it perfectly. She says, if we stay where we are, where we're stuck, where we're comfortable and safe, we die there. We become like mushrooms living in the dark with poop up to our chins. If you want to know only what you already know, you're dying. You're saying, leave me alone. I don't mind this little rat hole. It's warm and dry. Really, it's fine. This is where the paralytic man was. He wasn't just stuck. He was feeling stuck and he was living stuck. And it wasn't where he was supposed to be. And that's not where we're supposed to be either. The story continues that in the midst of that, Jesus finds him. And he comes to him and he says, do you want to get well? Do you want to be healed? This is such a beautiful moment. There's such a beautiful truth here that you can miss it if you move so quickly in this passage. And the truth is this, that no matter how stuck we get, no matter how stuck we feel, how far we think we're from God, God always finds us in our moments of being stuck. He always comes to us. He will come to you. He has come to you. And when he comes, he offers an invitation. An invitation for you to think differently, for you to act differently. An invitation for a different kind of life. So what did the man say? Do you want to be healed? Do you want to get well? The man responds, sir, the invalid replied, I have no one to help me get into the pool when the water is stirred. While I'm trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me. See, at first it seems innocent enough, but we know already that he's already started turning outward and blaming other people. I'm this way because of them. Never mind the fact that he's believed the lie that this is the only path of healing for him. Never mind the fact that he's already given up. None of that. No, it's them. That's why I'm here. And see, we can get to that place so easily. We turn outward or we turn inward and we isolate and we hide from people. And so how does Jesus respond to his answer? The text tells us that Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat and walk." Now, if you're a paralyzed person and you've been there for a long time and this dude come up and he's like, "Hey, you want to get well?" And you're like, "Oh, man, and he says, "Well, get up." Do you think you would like that? Do you think that would feel nice? No, of course not. What do you mean get up? Can't you clearly see that I'm stuck here? That my legs don't move? Can't you clearly see that everyone's forgotten me and I'm forsaken? Can't you clearly see? It would have been so easy for the paralytic man to just ignore Jesus and say, "Get out of my face. What you said is offensive and hurtful." But he doesn't do that. He has a shift in his thinking where for the first time in a long time, maybe ever, he says, "Well, maybe I can get up. Maybe I can believe this person that's inviting me to do something that I don't think will work, but maybe I can." And instead of reacting defensively or pushing away in anger and hurt and all that stuff, he decides to believe in Jesus. Now, I have a confession to make, okay? And this is kind of hard for me, but whatever. I love and I have an obsession with McDonald's Coke. Yeah, some of you guys know what I'm talking about, okay? McDonald's Coke is the best Coke, like in the universe, okay? In all the multiverses, okay? If you believe that thing. Now, okay, I know that some of you are here in the Pacific Northwest, you're like, I only drink water or sparkling water, and like, I don't drink Coke. You know, my wife is kind of like that, but this is how I know she loves me. After 16 years of marriage, every Christmas in my stocking is a McDonald's gift card. Okay, she knows that Mickey D's and I, we have a special relationship. Like when I was growing up, I was poor, and we would call that place Double Yellow Mountain because that made us feel fancy. Okay? I love me some Double Yellow Mountain. And let me tell you, here's the reason why the Coke is so incredible at McDonald's, okay? It's a combination of a few things. And when you have the combination of these three things, okay, magic happens in your mouth, okay? The first thing is that the syrup is shipped in stainless steel canisters. All right, every other place in the world, they ship them in plastic and stuff, but Ray Kroc and Coke had a deal back in the day that they still honor to this day, and stainless steel canisters, there's something about the potency of the syrup and how it is that like, it's just magical, okay? So the first thing is the stainless steel canister. The second thing is these water filtration systems. That's at every McDonald's. All right? Basically, these water filtration systems take water that's bad and makes it into like amazing water, and it takes water and the syrup and makes it the optimal temperature before they mix. You guys are thinking I'm crazy. I told you I have an obsession. And when they mix, right, magic happens. But here's the third thing. And if you don't know the third thing, man, the straw. The straw is different than all the other straws in the universe, okay? It's slightly bigger. And the reason why it's slightly bigger is because someone at McDonald's was like, we want the bubbles to hit with more intensity. And so it's slightly larger. And when you have stainless steel with water filtration and a magical straw, the miracle of McDonald's Coke happens. Okay, look, if you're doubting me, you need to go get Coke after lunch or after church. You need to go get some. And you need to drink it because it will change your life. The combination of those three things, it's amazing. Now listen to this, okay? In every miracle, Jesus had about 50 recorded miracles and hundreds, if not thousands, that weren't even recorded at all, according to John 21. But in every miracle, there is a formula that has to take place for that miracle to take place. And the formula is this. One, there has to be a person in a situation where they feel stuck and lost. Two, Jesus comes to them and gives them an invitation. But that alone will not unlock a miracle. The third component that's necessary is human participation in action. That person has to respond to the invitation of God in an act of faith, in an act of obedience. They have to have a slight shift of thinking or a slight action. They have to try something differently. And when they do that in response to the invitation of Jesus, miracles happen. Maybe not the way you want, maybe not how you want, but they do. Now, here's the thing with miracles, okay? It's not like all of a sudden this dude's life got completely better. Yes, he did believe in Jesus, and the text tells us that he was cured and that he picked up his mat and walked. But he had to figure out the rest of his life from there, right? He had to figure out how to get back into society. He had to figure out how he was going to work. He had to maybe reconcile with family. But the thing is that it only takes a small step at first. That shift in perspective, that next step, like we like to call it here, Timberlake, is what changes things when it's in response to the invitation of God. Now look, if you don't remember anything else, I want you to remember this. If you want to see God move, you've got to move. If you want to see God move in the places and areas of your life where you are stuck, you've got to move. I guarantee you that Jesus has found you and he's offering these little mini invitations. You don't have to figure it all out or solve it all out on your own. That's not how this works. You do have to have a change of perspective, an act of faith. And when you do that, like the text says, miracles happen. Now, how do we respond to God's invitations, okay? Very quickly, I'm going to give you 2 ways, I think, where this happens. Okay, the first way is to let go. Everyone say let go. All right, cool. Some of you have to let go of some things, okay? And the things that I'm talking about are like painful memories, destructive lies, false narratives, harmful habits. Some of you have some really destructive lives that have held you captive in your thinking for a long time. Maybe you had a rough childhood and you just had like bad experiences with your dad. That was my story for a long time. Or maybe a teacher or a friend or someone who you trusted betrayed you and made you think that you were unworthy of love and unworthy of belonging. And no matter how many times you try to get over that and how many times you try to fill it with other relationships, it keeps manifesting because you believe that you're not worthy of love. Look, it's time to let that go. Maybe that's the invitation that God has for you today. It could be any of these things, but maybe it's a lie, one lie that has been holding you captive for a long time. I think the second way that we can respond to God's invitation is to take hold. And these are the things that I think we can take hold of. Life-giving practices, supportive people, new perspectives, and foundational truths. You know, I grew up in Korea, half Filipino and half Korean, and man, I had some rough stories where I had some really, really bad friends. And in second service, I share this story because on Friday, a friend named Danny came to pick me up in like an Audi R8. And he was like, bro, we're going to celebrate your 40th. And he had a secret plan that he had made with my wife that I had no idea about. And you know, it was crazy. It was an invitation for me to be like, you know what? Danny is a supportive person that I need to hold on to. No one's done something like that for me. It was so amazing. The thing is that like maybe you have someone in your life that has been showing up and you're like, man, they're good for me. But not these people, but this, maybe that's something that you have to take up. Or, you know, a life-giving practice, learning how to pray, read your Bible, coming to church, joining a group, all those things that we talk about. If you want to see God move, you've got to move. So where are you today? In what area of your life do you feel stuck? Maybe you're starting to feel stuck, or maybe you've been living stuck for a long time. And I know we're talking about Whac-A-Mole, but some of you are like, I don't even like picking up that hammer. Like the moles used to scare me, but they're my friends now. Like that's Harry and Sally. And Kelvin's still pretty scary, but eventually he calms down. You've resigned yourself. Can I tell you that's not where you're supposed to be? That's not the life that you're destined for. Jesus has something more. And today, just like he offered to the paralytic man, he's offering you a different kind of life. If you want to see God move, you've got to move. I want you to think about that paralytic man. Imagine him for a second. Living every day, waiting for the waters to be stirred, having the anticipation and hope that maybe it's this time. And when the waters get stirred, he decides to move and act. But people just keep getting in his way. And every single time, it's a reminder of the failures that he's in, how stuck he is. that sense of hopelessness, that sense of resignation really can be so defeating. That was his life. For some of you, that's your life. This is a safe place. It's okay to admit that. But one day, Jesus comes to him, finds him, and offers him something different, something completely new.
Shalom.
Shalom.
I have a question for you. Do you want to be healed?
Who are you?
We'll get to that later. But my question remains.
Will you take me to the water? Look, I'm having a really bad day.
You've been having a bad day for a long time. So?
Sir, I have no one to help me into the water when it's stirred up. And when I do get close, the others step down in front of me. And so...
Look at me. Look at me. That's not what I asked. I'm not asking you about who's helping you, or who's not helping, or who's getting in your way. I'm asking about you.
I've tried.
For a long time, I know. And you don't want false hope again, I understand. But this pool, it has nothing for you. It means nothing. And you know it. But you're still here. Why?
I don't know.
You don't need this pool. You only need me. So, do you want to be healed? So let's go. Get up, pick up your mat, and walk.
I'm free to walk, like he said. Don't forget your bed.
Why does this matter?
Because you're not coming back here. That life is over. Everything changes now.
Do you want to get well? Do you want to be healed? This place, that area that you feel stuck in, it's not your home. You're not supposed to be there. You're meant for something else, something more. Jesus wants to offer that to you. A different kind of life. Maybe you need to let go of something. Maybe you need to take hold of something. Whatever it is. I've asked the worship team to sing that third song again. And while they sing this song and we worship, while you sing and reflect, stand, whatever you want to do, I want you to respond to that invitation. You don't have to figure it all out. It can just be a small shift in your heart. It could be a small shift in your mind. Just a small thing that you do. I want to pray for you. So let's, every eye closed, every head bowed. I want to pray for two groups of people, okay? The first group of people I want to pray for, or maybe you're here and you just are like, Pastor Jedediah, I'm stuck. I've tried so many things. Life just didn't turn out. I don't even know how I got here, but I don't want to be here anymore. And if that's you, as a small, if that's you, with no one looking, with no one checking that out, I just want you to simply raise your hand. I see you, 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 yes, yes. All right, you can put your hand down. Second group of people, maybe you're here and you're like, I'm trying this church thing. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't even know him, but I want to. There's something interesting about him. You know, the Bible says that if you confess in your heart and you believe with your mouth that he's the Lord and leader of your life, and you pray a simple confession like, Jesus, I need you. I want you to be in my life. Forgive me for my sins. You become new. You go from death to life. And if you've never done that, and you want to do that today, with every eye closed and head bowed, I just want you to raise your hand. Just raise your hand. I'll be a witness. God will be a witness. Yep, I see you. I see you. I see you. All right, you can put your hand down. God, I want to pray for my friends. First, God, I want to pray for those who took a step of faith and wanting to believe in you, who are saying, I want you to be the Lord and leader of my life. God, as they make that confession, as they make that act, I pray that you would transform their heart, help them to experience the joy of going from death to life. I pray that you would set them on a path where they would find people. There would be life change that they would experience, God. And Lord, I want to pray for my friends who feel stuck this morning. God, you know exactly where they are. You see them. And your heart longs for them to find freedom and hope and faith. So God, I pray that it'd be implanted into their hearts, deep in their hearts and souls right now in this moment. And in all of this, God, I pray that we would see you move in ways that we can't even imagine. Because you're good and because you love us, and because you're more than able. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
When did I start to forget all of the great things you did? When did I throw away faith for the impossible? How did I start to believe you weren't sufficient for me? Why do I talk myself out of seeing miracles? You are more than able. You are more than able. You are more than able. That is good right there. Well, listen, be encouraged. God is with you. He is bigger than the challenges you face. Trust in him. If you need prayer today, there'll be people down here by the front of the stage who would love to pray with you and for you. Online, you can hit the raise hand button and there'll be somebody there to pray with you. But you have an amazing week. Come back here next Sunday and we will see you then.
Thanks for watching. But before you go, please be sure to bookmark this page so that you can find us again next week. And are you looking for a way to get engaged and join a team? The online chat engagement team is a role that anyone and everyone can do, and it's simple. Engage with people, create an environment where people are free to be themselves, and more importantly, open to receive the truth of Jesus. And if you're interested in joining this team and becoming part of what God is doing through Timberlake Online, please let me know on your connection card. Links can be found in chat, and I'll see you here next week at online.timberlakechurch.com.